Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I am your host, Sareth Ney, and every episode I bring a comic that's like a. This is a secret society of stand up comedians. Like, you have to be invited in on this, you got to be vouched for. And this gentleman next up is Mr. Patrick Sisk, and he's been vouched for. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Patrick Sisk. How are you, pal?
Hey, I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being my guest today.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me on this rainy day here in Florida.
Oh, yeah, it's raining outside here too, so
Uh,
it's everywhere. Like, the weather was pretty bad last night in Daytona. I'm like, oh, geez,
yeah, I'm here in Orlando, so it rained real hard, but it's one of those days where it's like, man, am I going to take a nap or am I going to talk to Sareth? And so I chose you, and I love a good
Oh,
nap. So just know that you're more important than a
oh,
nap to me, whatever that
sit
means.
likewise, Patrick. Likewise, you got some viewers in the audience too. So if you'd like to interact in the chat, you got some friends, family, and friends in there. So
I don't
just
have
be
that
nice
many
to
family
us.
or friends, so I don't know who's in the chat. But yeah,
Oh,
good for you guys. Thanks for being
it's
here. So
indeed good stuff. Good stuff. So Patrick, you're an Orlando-based comic. What's your scene like in Orlando?
man, the Orlando scene is incredible. I love it. I have thoroughly enjoyed diving headfirst into it because Orlando is cool because there's something almost every night here in Orlando, whether it be an open mic or a showcase or something like that. But then you're an hour away from New Smyrna Beach. You're an hour ish away from Daytona. You're an hour away from Winter Haven. You are centrally located, and so it's so nice because you can really, you can go anywhere, you can do whatever. So the scene is incredible there, and then there's some great people in the scene. There are some amazing, genuine people who truly care and who truly want to see you succeed. And don't get me wrong, there's some crappy people in the scene, of course. But but the scene, from my perspective, is it's a scene that people are just genuinely down to earth, nice people.
Absolutely. Yep, I know the feeling. There's the ones that I love and there's the ones that I stay away from. So like
Yeah,
it's like in every scene, I'm like
oh, for sure, for
you
sure.
you can tell which ones are the vampire energy drainers
Yep,
out there. So
absolutely.
indeed, it just like reeks off of them. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you can always tell because like they just suck, right? Like they just suck as people, and all of a sudden you're
yeah,
like, oh man, like you walk away from them, and even if you feel like you had a good time, but you walk away and you're like, why do I feel like I just ran a marathon? Like this is
right.
awful, and then you're like, oh, it's that person. That person sucks. Okay, cool.
Indeed, I got that on. Like I can like detect like right away. So
Yeah, I wish I could detect it quicker. A lot of times I'm like halfway through and I'm like, man, well, maybe it's something about me. And then all of a sudden it like just dawns on me one day. I'm like, oh no, that person sucks.
that person does suck. Yeah. So you started your comedy journey like over 10 years ago, and due to some life situations, you stepped away. So,
Yeah.
what was the comedy like scene 10 years ago for you?
So yeah. Well, now it's closer to 11 years ago, I guess, or 12 years even. Jeez, God, I'm old. But I was a senior in college in Nashville, Tennessee, and my parents bought me a writing class at Zany's Comedy Club in Nashville. And they're like, "Hey, this is what we got you for your birthday." And I was like, "Oh, finally something cool." So I went to it, loved it, started writing, really started going, "Okay, this is what I want to do." I did a few open mics. I think I did five open mics is how many I did, and graduate. And I mean, it was interesting because I was young. I was getting my feet wet. I was always the funny guy growing up, but never had translated it to the stage, even though I'd always wanted to. And I was finally doing that, and I thought, man, this is it. It was a decent scene in Nashville at the time. Now the scene has blown up. I have some friends who are in the Nashville scene, and they tell me how crazy it is. But there were like 3 or 4 different open mics you could go to during the week. But I went to a few of them and did well at some, and others I did not. But then uh, right after I graduated college, I had, like I said, some life situations happen and stepped away for a while. But back then, the scene, I wasn't good at comedy back then. Yeah, I sucked. I really did. I was really bad at it. I remember one time, I think it was called the Frothy Monkey or the Funky Monkey or something like that in Nashville, and I got up to do comedy. I did my first joke, and no one laughed. Not like one of those like how like no one made a sound. And then I made my second joke, and no one made a sound. Then I made my third joke, and no one made another sound. And so and this was all in a matter. It felt like forever, but it was all in a matter of like 37 seconds. And so I was like, "Thank you, that's my time." And I walked off stage straight through the crowd and left. And I was like, "Oh my god, that was terrible." And my friend was with me. He was like, "Yeah, that was bad." And a week later, that place burned to the ground.
Wow.
And my friend accused me of doing it, and I was like, "No, I didn't. I mean, I thought about it, but I didn't." So yeah, it was tough. It was really tough.
Man, the best stories come from bombing, though. But
Oh yeah,
it's like, yeah,
for sure. No, and I think that's something that you and I have with age we learn, right? That the successes are in the failures,
yep,
and if you don't fail, then you're never going to truly succeed. So yeah.
yep, absolutely, yeah. Like David Geffen, from Geffen Records taught me that in his books. But the internet froze, but we're back, so it's
Okay,
great,
good, good.
awesome. But yeah, and so like I had to take a 5 month hiatus from stand up this year, but I'm always contemplating retiring, so it's like my way to put
How
cheeks
long
in
have you been
seats.
doing comedy?
8 years,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
10 years consistent. Well, 10 years, 8 years consistently. Yeah,
Okay, very
and then
cool.
like the
Well, you
festival.
don't look a day over 7 years or something, whatever
Thank
this
you.
thing is. I don't know what I'm supposed to say there, but no, you're doing amazing. I mean, you put your own, you have two festivals that you do, so now you're killing it, dude. Killing it.
Ah, thanks, bud. Like I didn't mean to. They just happened accidentally. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm like, I
Man,
try to change it. I
I
try
hate
to.
when accidental festivals happen. Like the other day, just walking down the street. Oh, there's a festival. Oh, that, that sucks.
Indeed, it's the story is just bonkers, but it's just, I was like a concert journalist in the LA, and I got
Uh-huh.
paid to go to concerts all the time, and it was like the best life ever. I was living on the Sunset Strip almost every night from like 2010 to or 2012 to 2014, like 150 shows in 2 years. It was bonkers. Like they just kept on throwing me concerts, and so
Nice.
like I saw like the Doors, minus Jim Morrison, Cypress Hill, Deftones, like this list
Wow.
goes on and on. Yeah,
Yeah.
like different genres. I said I'm gonna write about my hometown instead. Now I'm gonna move back to Colorado, and then I just wrote about the scene, tagged my member of each band, started doing stand up, like open mics. I
Yeah.
said, hey, just want 3 comics, 3 bands on this bill, and everyone wanted in on it. They're like, how much can I pay you? It's like, no, you did enough. You put us on a national platform when like the local newspapers never did it, and they just took photos of us, didn't write about us. I'm like,
Ah,
okay, cool. So that was born there, and I couldn't afford to bring the Florida comics to Colorado and vice versa. So I'm like, I'm just gonna start another one at the Nog, bring my Florida pals on, and just create a
yeah.
second one. So
Yeah.
I
That's
tried,
awesome, dude. That's
yeah,
awesome.
and I tried to change the name, but they wouldn't let me. So I'm just like, all right, fine, I'll just keep it at Sareth Fest.
Yeah. No,
So
it's a good name.
uh,
It's a good name for sure.
I'm wearing a shirt from like the with the ninja, like me battling the Ninja Turtles on it. So it's pretty
That's
awesome.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
look like one of a
Oh
couple of
no,
the
yeah, I've
Ninja
always
Turtles.
thought that. Yeah, I always thought that you were like the missing brother. Like you're like if the turtles got into the secret ooze just a little too long.
Yep, a
Like
little
yeah,
too long.
like you don't have the shell, so you're starting to turn into a human, but it's weird. So no,
Yep,
yeah, but it's a good look for you. You work it, man. You work it.
I
And I look
do.
like fat Jesus, so I'm not really one to judge anybody. So
Awesome, good stuff. So, like 2000, April 2022, you decided to step back on stage, and you haven't looked back since. And I noticed that, like, you're like the fastest rising headliner I've ever seen. So,
thank you, thank you, thank
you're
you.
welcome. So, what was it like stepping back on stage, like back in like a year ago?
Oh man. So the I had thought about it for a while, and we moved down from we lived in Indiana for about 8 years, moved down here to Orlando, and saw that there was a comedy scene, and I was like, oh man, that would be really cool, but it's not for me. And then suddenly I saw that there was an open mic put on by my buddy Helmet, Helmet Wysick, who is here in Orlando and produces his own shows. Shout out to Helmet. But saw that he was putting on an open mic that was like 8 minutes down the road from me. And I asked my wife, I was like, hey, I said, are we busy tonight? And she was like, no. And I said, well, there's this. I said, I think I'm just going to go and watch. She said, no, you're not going to do that. I was like, okay. And she goes, you're going to go and you're going to perform. I said, oh, I don't know. That's not me. I think I just need to take it slow. And she goes, you've never taken anything slow. Stop it. I said, okay. What do you want? What do you want me to do? And she goes, go do comedy tonight. And if you do great, and if you love it, you got to keep going. She said, but if you hate it, you don't want to do it anymore, then you never have to do it anymore and you can walk away. And I was like, all right, deal. And got on stage and did pretty well. And like I said, yeah, I've never looked back. And I've headlined several clubs. I've got a show in Mobile, Alabama on Sunday where I'm headlining at the Alabama Music Box. And I mean, things are really kicking into gear and I love it. And I don't think my wife's told me plenty of times, she was like, I always thought it was in you. I always thought like you could do this. She goes, but I didn't think it would go this quick. So yeah, so my wife has been a huge supporter of me and one of my biggest fans, and I couldn't have done it without her.
That's awesome, man. Like that's beautiful. It's like sometimes you need that support system because a lot of comics don't have that.
Yeah.
It's like you're on your own on this one.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I think sometimes I take that for granted that that I've got such a great supporter in her, and then I look at other comics and they're like, man, I'm struggling and all this. I'm like, okay, yeah, and it's one of those like the grass isn't always greener on the other side type things. So.
Indeed, you're gonna love the Alabama Music Box. It's a beautiful venue. It's like Mobile's like the Austin of Mississippi. It's like
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just Alabama, and it was like, but man, I get those two connect like mixed up.
Yeah, they're basically the same place. There's like 12 teeth among all of them.
Indeed.
I can say that because my brother lives in Mississippi, so I think that's why I can say that. I'm not sure.
Awesome. Yeah, so. That's fantastic. Geez, and he has all 12 of the teeth.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe. I think he's got 11 of them. So he's got 11 of them.
Good stuff. So, yeah, I was like, I forgot to talk about Zanies. It's like, Nashville scene is awesome. Like my friend Amber Autry's up there. She's killing it with her specials. Like Don't Tell did a special on her, and Dry Bar did one.
Okay.
Like, she's awesome. Like we just, when I went to Chicago and did the Red Line Tap, we were on the same bill together, but I didn't expect her to like go like all out crazy, like successful. And we would like our paths, like comedy is so wild. Like we just have like the paths of every comedian is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no like set path, right? Like I can say this is how I did it, and it might never work for anyone ever again. The way you did it might never work for. I mean, the way Cam Patterson has done it, like that's crazy how much he's blown up. But that doesn't work for everybody. So you've got to find what worked for you, and you can't rush the process.
Yep.
So
you got to trust it. Don't rush it.
Yeah. And Joel Embiid said it best: trust the process, right? So you gotta trust the process and know that there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, and some days things are going to move super fast, and some days things are going to move super slow. So just be ready.
Indeed, ebb and flows, peaks and valleys.
For sure. Sure.
Absolutely, indeed. So when you hit the stage, you're a big personality called the Bowling Ball of Comedy. How did you earn that nickname and the backstory?
So the person who gave me that nickname was actually Judd Jones, who used to do Space Coast Comedy Showcase. It's on hiatus right now, but yeah, he's the one who gave me that nickname, and and at first I was like, what? And then I was talking to my friend. He was like, no, it makes sense. He was like, you get up there and you just start doing your thing. You're knocking people down, and it you're high energy. You're just boom, 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 and you keep hitting them. And I that's how I've always been, right? I've always been a high energy guy, and so when I started doing comedy, I didn't see a reason to change that. I took my personality on who I am and just really brought it to the forefront of the stage, and maybe I'm even a little more high energy on stage. So it's you know I commend those people who can be low energy. Sometimes I wish I was low energy, but I always feel like I've exercised after I've gotten off stage, even if it's for 5 minutes, because I'm giving everything I got up there. So yeah.
And we love you for that.
Oh, yeah,
Since that energy you give us, we give back to you.
yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
man, your nickname is much more PG than my nickname. So
Well, I'm almost afraid to ask you what your nickname is now.
oh, I got two of them. Well, I got three of them. Like two from the Punt Punishers and one from my buddy in Chicago. So like Kevin Tibbert called me the cleanest, dirtiest comic in Daytona Beach.
Right. Yeah, I've heard
Yep.
that one.
Yep. And so the other one was Andre Dolan gave me my name DJ Sticky Angel, um,
Okay.
aka DJ Sticky Anal. If you hug me, your clothes will get pregnant. Like,
Uh, that's disgusting.
that is
Um,
disgusting.
that's so disgusting. Oh, gross.
Because I'm like the DJ at the nog, and so he
Yeah.
knows my stand-ups. So,
Oh man.
and
Oh,
then
I'm
the
not
other,
sure I ever want to hug you ever again after this. Rap. This is really. Oh man.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. I might just start waving at you from afar. Hey, there you are. Hey. Ooh, gross.
I know it's horrible.
Oh,
And then my buddy in Chicago called me the a poet laureate of Pornhub. It's like,
that's oddly beautiful, right? Yeah, that's like like I secretly love that. I'm like, oh man, that's adorable.
that
Uh,
is adorable.
Donald Evans once called me the nicest comedian in Orlando, and I remember
Oh.
looking at Donald and I was like, Donald, you must not know a lot of comedians because like I'm clearly not the nicest. And he's like, no, like he goes, you consistently, you're just such a good person, and I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, that's what I hate about you. And I was like, oh, thank you, Donald. But yeah, no, I don't have any cool nicknames like you. That's for sure. So,
It's just like when the birthplace of the NWO raises you, that's what happens.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Oh, man. For life, baby. For life.
Absolutely. One of those.
Too sweet.
Too sweet. Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, Donald is one of the greatest. I mean, he won Florida's Funniest,
Yeah.
which were you the finalists for in 2022 and 23? Are you signing up for this year?
Well, so I was not 22. I think that was, yeah, I think that was a miss right or something. Because I was on there last year. Well, no, last year was 22, wasn't it? Yeah. So last year was 22, the year Donald won. And I was in the the Orlando group, and I did really well. But I was 8 months into comedy, and so didn't have a clue what I was doing, and but did really well. I had a lot of people come up and they're like, "Man, you should have won it. You should be moving on to the finals." Didn't happen, and that's okay. Again, it wasn't my time. This year I am on it again in the Orlando group. I only signed up for one of them, and you look at the Orlando group, dude, and it's stacked. Like there are some really, and not saying that the other comedians in other places aren't good, but like you have a bona fide national touring comedian in the Orlando group with Mike Herlihy.
Oh yeah.
And you have amazing talent like Kevin Dean. You've got amazing talent like Absar Sadiq. Like there's so many good comedians, and I mean I could go through the list and name something great about every single comedian in there. And so I'm just like, oh man. So before I saw the list come out, I remember thinking, oh man, I can make it. I can make it to the semis this year. This is going to be my year to make it to the semis. And then it's just an honor to be nominated. I'm excited to be here, man. This is I'm not God. So, but that's the way it goes, right? So I'm going to go out there October 25th, and have a blast and do my thing, and at the end leave it all on the stage, and that's all you can do every single time.
Absolutely. I got to get Renee on the show sometime and interview her because I tried out for like Florida's Funniest like a couple years ago, and I produced and featured on a show at the Improv once, the main stage, and I forgot to do my West Hollywood bathhouse joke on stage, and so I saved it for the Florida's Funniest. And after I got off stage, she goes, "You scarred me."
That's saying something because she'd heard a lot of comedians, right? So
Yeah,
you left a lasting impression.
yeah,
Maybe not a good impression, but an impression. So, like,
yep.
wow, that's good for you. Good for you, sir.
Thanks. I think yeah. No curse words, just absolute filth. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
my thing.
which is weird, right? Because you are the cleanest, dirtiest comic ever. Like, you don't cuss, but you are like the. I remember a certain joke of yours about being, and I'm not going to say it on here, but about being Spider-Man, um, and your web abilities, and like it's like so like I you're such an enigma. Like I don't understand you as a comic, and I love it. I think that's why I like it so much is because I'm like I have no clue what he's going to say, and it scares me, but it also makes me excited. Excited? Yeah, we'll go with that. Excited all at the same time. But,
Indeed.
yeah.
I just it's and I walk up like a turtle, like the Ninja Turtle. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Like, have you ever walked up to the 1993 classic by Vanilla Ice, the Turtle Rap or whatever?
I
Um,
need to.
you
Yeah,
really that should really be your walk up song.
indeed.
Is and not a lot of people might get it, but the 90s kids would get it because that song was my jam back in the day.
It's my jam too. And Vanilla Ice like lives like in St. Augustine now. He bought 2 houses out here.
Oh, see, yeah, you start playing it enough, and maybe he'll come down and sing it for you live one day.
That'd be awesome. It's like
That would,
summoning Candyman. You know,
yeah. If you say Vanilla Ice 3 times and look in the mirror, and you have a flat top, he appears. That's what I've heard, at least. So
with you got to be in a Ford Mustang too. So you got
that's true. That's true. Very true.
so many elements need to summon this
Exactly.
guy.
That's why nobody's ever successfully done it.
No,
Because there's so many elements. So crazy.
indeed. So you were in the wild card in the Riot Fest comedy competition in 2022, and is that
Yeah.
the Riot Fest in Chicago or what?
It is in. I think it was in Houston, Texas. I think is where it was. I never actually went to it. I got to the point where I made it through the first round, and then they're like, "All right, you're the wild card," and then basically didn't move any further. They're like, "All right, that's enough of you," and I was like, "Okay, cool." But it was cool. It was a cool experience. I got to talk to those guys, and they were very very supportive and helped me figure out some things that I was doing that I can do better. And so and that's what I always try to learn with festivals and with anything I do is I'm always trying to learn. So every show I pull something that I can learn from it. So this show right here, I didn't do great, but I learned something. So then it's a success. So, but yeah, so it was fun. It was one of my first times to apply to a place like that. And I didn't expect too much and got further than I thought. I thought I would get one of the rejection letters that you always get. That's like, we had so many good applicants. Sorry, you weren't one of them. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. All right. F me. Cool. Wow.
Yeah, here's my money anyways, you
Yeah,
bastard.
exactly. Yeah, like I gave you $50 and you just told me, hey, send in another $50 next year. And I'm like, so yeah.
That's why I choose not to like go with a submission fee route. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to see how you do well in front of my Daytona crowd, like at the
Yeah.
Nog. Like that's one of the roughest rooms. Like,
Oh,
and
for sure.
if you can make it through that, then I'll book
For
you.
sure. Yeah, I've done the Nog several times now. And I always tell people if you can, you don't even have to get anybody to laugh, but if you can make it through a set, then you have succeeded as a comedian because like that'll put some hair on your chest right there. Because oh my gosh, you can tell a joke that will kill in every single place you've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
You tell it in the Nog, and they're like, Boo.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Screw this. So no, it's incredible. I love the nog. It's 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 dirty, but it feels like home, right? Like that's
Absolutely.
the nice thing about it.
Yep, and that's why I'm like so glad I cut my teeth there. It's like, I've been there for like 8 years and they call me the heart and soul of the nog. And like, if
Yeah.
people don't feel like comfortable like anywhere else, you can sit near me. And that, I guess you can say my energy is like really nice. So they just
Yeah.
like come and sit
Yeah.
next to me.
Yeah, your energy is great. It's your words and your clothes that people have a problem with, Sareth.
Yep, just don't hug me. That's
Yeah,
all.
don't hug me. Your words can hug, but not your body. Don't keep your body away from my body. Oh, yeah.
It's good stuff. But
Uh,
yeah, and I love it because like it's like low ceiling, it's dark in the audience, and it's
yeah,
perfectly lit, great sound. But
yeah.
if your jokes don't land, it's like
Oh, yeah,
tough.
yeah. I've gone through a lot of things in my life and had to do a lot of awful things. And rejection, being adopted, I've had to deal with rejection. But the silence that you feel at the nog has nothing on it. Like there's nothing that compares to that because you're like, oh, okay, all right, this sucks. And like if it weren't for the empanadas, I don't know if I would have ever come back. But the empanadas are so good.
Oh yeah, shout out to Anthony. He made some on Wednesday. I'm like my DJ station's right behind the deep fryer, so I always smell like empanadas when I go
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
So,
There's worse things you could smell like, but
this is true.
especially being in Daytona, there's a lot worse things you could smell like. So, oh,
Especially if you are on Ridgewood Avenue, just don't go there.
yeah, I have no clue where that is, but now I'm gonna write that down in my memory and be like, nope. Sareth told me not to be here. If Sareth told me not to, then I know not to. So,
Indeed. What's US one that connects, the Nog to Madcaps,
oh,
the
okay, okay,
slap.
yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That oh yeah, that place is oh yeah, okay.
Indeed.
That's
So
like
yeah,
an
you got
episode of Law and Order SVU just waiting to happen.
pretty
So
much
yeah,
an episode of Cops.
yeah. I mean, what Live PD still like produces in Daytona, and I'm just like, oh, there. Let's see if I know anybody tonight, but I never do. I keep waiting to see you, Sareth, just running from the cops, but I never get. You're just too sneaky for them, I guess.
Indeed. My sister's name is Eileen, so it's like, I guess I'll be Eileen Warnos Jr., I guess.
Yeah, yeah. You see, you have that advantage though. If they tried to pull you over or tried to get you, you could just jump into the sewers with the other turtles and just run away. So it'd be fine. You have a whole sewer system to your disposal. So good for
Pretty,
you.
thank
You
you.
use what God gave you. So
Absolutely. Got my weapons in the trunk and everything. I'm like ready to
exactly.
go.
They're like, sir, are these ninja stars and nunchucks? And you're like, don't worry about it. And then you just take off running. So why do you have katanas, sir? And you're like, I don't want to talk about it. So
It's like follow the Foot Clan. It's like
oh man, one day you're gonna get Shredder. I believe in you. I believe you'll get Shredder one day.
The new movie's great. The Mutant Mayhem is just
I haven't
awesome.
watched it. I've got to. It's on Paramount Plus, and I need to watch it. And I tried to watch it the other day, and my kids made fun of me. And I was
Oh,
like, okay, cool. So I was like, I'll just watch it when they're not home. So yeah.
it's fun for the whole family. I went to the movie theater to watch it, so I got two of the cups and the
Mm.
popcorn bin and everything.
Did people think that you dressed up for the movie?
I wish, but my Ninja Turtle outfit doesn't fit me anymore.
Ah,
I got a little bit fluffy during COVID, so I'm like, oh.
yeah, that dang COVID. It got everybody. Ugh. So, I just had short hair, and then COVID happened. Now look at me. So now I look like a homeless man. So
It's awesome and good stuff. You're popular. A lot of people are in the chat or watching at home, so this is great.
oh man, I'm so sorry that these people don't have anything else to do. Oh, oh
But feel free to interact in the chat and stuff. And we're having so much fun, Patrick. I love this conversation.
yeah, for
And
sure, man. This is the best thing I've done all day. I mean, I haven't done much, but like this is the best thing I've done all day.
hell
So
yeah, awesome. Speaking of Texas, you performed at the 2023 Tower City Comedy Festival.
yeah.
And what was that experience like?
Oh man, Tower City Comedy Fest was incredible. It's the first festival I've ever gone to, and it was awesome. because it's in Paris, Texas, and they have an Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little Eiffel Tower. It's adorable. And it's just it's a 3 or 4 day festival. There's about 70 to 90 comics that come. There's different shows. There's shows in the whiskey bar. Then I did one show called Hysterical Tours, where we got on a trolley and basically just got random people off the street to get on the trolley, and we told them fun facts about Paris, Texas, and none of us are from Paris, Texas. So it was incredible making up things, and so that was awesome. Just the people I got to meet. Daryl, the guy who puts it all together, is incredible. Really good comedian in Texas, and I mean, he's a great comedian anywhere, but based in Texas. And then I also did they were missing one person for the comic, or for the roast battle at the end of the night, or at the end of the festival. And I was like, yeah, I'll sign up. Let's do it. And actually, I took all the hatred in my heart, and and all the hatred that I had seen in roast battles put on here in Orlando, and I was like, I've got this, and I actually won the whole thing. And so that was really cool. And then one of the headliners for the festival, Todd Glass, was he and I sat down and talked for like 30 minutes, and dude was just so down to earth, great to talk to, helped me with a joke, and just really helped me realize some things that I don't think I realized. So it was a great festival. I'm hoping to go back next year. The cool thing is, once you win the comedy fest, or once you win the roast battle, next year is named after you. So this year is the Patrick Sisk roast battle.
Wow.
At Tower City. So so somebody's gonna win me. That's what I guess I'm getting at. So yeah.
Hell yeah, that's so awesome. Representing for Orlando over here.
Yeah, it was awesome, and yeah, definitely looking forward to going back. So
Hell yeah, making us proud everywhere you go. It's awesome.
I mean, I don't know about that, but yeah. So
speaking of Orlando comedy, you were named one of Orlando Weekly's best local comedians of 2023, and so.
Yeah.
Well, who was with you on one of the others, and how was it feeling?
I mean, I was on there with some amazing talent. Ross Pageant was one of the ones who was on there. Ken Miller was on there. Mr. 407 Kevin Dean was on there, and then the winner of the whole thing was frickin' Carrot Top.
Oh yeah.
And so first off, hashtag screw Carrot Top. I have a personal vendetta against Carrot Top now, because you're not even you don't even live here anymore, Carrot Top. You're in Vegas, so stay in Vegas and just stay away from us. That's what I'm getting at. But no, it was cool to get nominated, and cool for people to just to be able to, for having people vote for me and all that stuff. It's one of those things where it sounds cheesy, but it's cool to just be honored and nominated. I'm new to the game compared to people like Ken Miller, who is an incredible comedian, has done so much in his career. And to have my name next to him and Kevin Dean and Ross Pageant, it's like, okay, like I think I found what I'm supposed to do. I think I found what I'm good at. And it only took me like 34 years to figure out what I was good at, but like at least I finally found it. So yeah. So
indeed, you and Kevin Dean are like, just amazing on stage. Like your crowd work, your material is just so strong. I'm like Orlando's just built so amazing comedians.
Yeah. Kevin, I have a Kevin. I love Kevin because Kevin actually, and not a lot of people know this, Kevin actually gave me my first paid gig out over in St. Cloud when he was running his room. I did a guest spot, and he was like, "Hey, I know you did a guest spot, but we want to give you something for doing it." And he gave me $7, and that $7 is in a safe here in my house, because it was the first money I'd ever earned doing comedy. And then, and I've told Kevin before, and I don't think he truly grasps it, but like it was such a moment for me to be able to be able to say I'm a paid comedian, and it was emotional. I mean, my wife actually got to come to that show, and she doesn't come to any of my shows, but my wife came to that show, and I remember like driving home almost like teary eyed, and because of how amazing the feeling was that my wife was there, that I got paid, that I got to do what I loved, and I was like, I think it was at that moment that I was like, this could be something. So,
Indeed, he's such a beautiful man. Like,
yeah,
and that's why, like, I was like this year, like, I gotta give you your flowers, man. Like, you're killing it on social media. You're helping
yeah,
your fellow comic out. Like, whether it was $7 or what,
right,
like those $7, means a lot because we rarely get paid for what we do, and the
right,
people that charge at the door and not pay the comics
yeah,
really irritate
yeah,
me.
yeah. There,
Ugh.
in the Orlando comedy scene, there was a big thing recently about a guy who was charging at the door, but he wasn't going to pay comics and all this stuff, and it becomes, I mean, it it's a little crazy when you think about it, right? Like I think there's too many people out there that manipulate a situation and go, well, you're getting exposure. Okay, so what? Exposure doesn't pay the lights. Exposure doesn't put food on the table. If my kids came home today and they're like, "Daddy, I'm hungry," I was like, "Well, I got some exposure for you." First of all, that sounds creepy
Yeah.
as hell to say out loud, but but like if I told my daughter I got paid in exposure, she'd be like, "That sucks." Like, and she's only
Yeah.
7. Like, she wouldn't know. Like, "Daddy, you got ripped off." I'd be like, "Yeah, I did." So I think I think it. I don't think people sometimes like they value us as comedians, and they see us as people that go, "Man, comedians are, man, I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you made me laugh." But then they don't see us as people who are, they don't see our job as a service, right? Because we're giving them a service, and they give us money in return. And I think sometimes they go, "Oh, well, you're just telling jokes," but there's so much more than that. It's more than just going up there and talking, as you know, and as people who are going to watch this know, is it's so much more than just, well, the other day my daughter did something funny. No, there's so much more. You've got to build the stories. You've got to write the story. You've got to figure out, okay, how does this flow? And it's, I think, is and I'm sure you've heard this, and now I feel like I'm rambling, but you hear those people in the audience who've never been at a comedy show, and they go, "Well, I could do this. My friends say I'm funny." It's like it's not that easy. I promise you, it's not that easy.
It's not at all. And that's what, like, our trials and tribulations as comics, and
Mm,
like, to see like the dark side of comedy, like that series is like on point. It's like a lot of my friends have like passed away from like just the comedy game is just so rough. Like
yeah,
it's like the music industry. It's like
right.
you got to try to find a way to stay relevant, or else you're gonna be lost in the sauce.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. That's why I'm like glad I got these two festivals named after me because it keeps
Yeah,
me relevant every year. So it's like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
what a
that's a
relief.
lot cooler. Like the Patrick Festival just doesn't sound good. So yeah, Red Fest is just, that's on point, man. Well
It's
done.
on point for sure. But yeah, I'm here. Like, I don't produce many shows. I just produce the two festivals. I tried the weekly producing and the monthly one, and I'm like, it's just too much.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to be on social media that much. I don't want to promote that much. Just give
yeah,
me these two festivals, and I'm good. So
yeah. That's it, and yeah, it can be so tiring to do all that. So yeah, I don't blame you at all.
indeed. And if, like, and the Nog helps me out a lot, and like,
Mhm.
they help me with like, bringing the comics here and treating them right,
Yeah,
and that's what I love. It's like we might look like a dive bar in Daytona, but we take care of everyone.
yeah,
So
for sure, for sure.
it's nice.
Yeah, I can not say enough good things about the Nog and about you and about Tibbert and the guys up there. I mean, those guys have been great to me and supportive, and have my back in situations. And so yeah, shout out to all you guys.
Absolutely. And shout out to my sponsors in Pueblo too, and this CR23 bomb shelter. they gave us a place to perform. Like it's in a like a it's a basement, but it used to be a house. But they
Mm.
like demolished the house and they kept the basement,
Oh
so they
wow,
turned it into a bomb shelter. And and so like it was like last year was the first time I ever had storytelling, podcasting, and stand up. It was like heaven. It was
that's awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome.
And then my relatives like businesses like sponsored it. So and then Liquid Death threw us some tin signs and some koozies.
Yeah,
And so I was like, hell yeah, there it's a big old party. So that's
yeah, for
awesome.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. And so Patrick, we got 4 people in the audience now. You're pretty
Man,
famous.
man, look at shout out to all 4 people,
Yep.
whoever you are. It's actually just me on 4 different devices. I
Interact in the chat.
manipulated this. Yeah, because nobody said anything, and so I've manipulated this to look like I have a bunch of people, but I have 4 computers set up in front of me where you
Yeah.
can't see it, and all 4 are on me. So
It's like for your OnlyFans.
exactly, I there's not many fans. That's why I'm not on there. I would get paid to put my clothes back on. So I already take my shirt off halfway through my set. So like that's enough. That's enough. So
Indeed. Or lonely fans, I guess you can
yeah,
say.
that's a much better name for it. Yeah. Yeah. Will you be my fan? It's more me begging. It's just me being please be my fan. Please follow me on social media. So yeah, that's really more my style.
Heck yeah. Yeah, Danielle Mathis, her mom was in the chat, and we were like, ask her about this, ask her about that. Like she has a really great support system too. It's like this is
Yeah,
just awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So I tell people don't be shy, but just don't troll us or nothing. And we'll
Right. Yeah,
we'll reply back to you.
for sure. Yeah. See, nobody who's watching right now in the chat, there's still nobody said anything because they're just like, I'm not gonna say it because they know.
Yep.
Because
You're like you're the
it's
roast battle champion in Tower City. They're not gonna mess with you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I will roast the crap out of that. That's not true. That's not true.
Indeed, awesome. That trolley reminded me of like Savannah, Georgia. They have like a ghost tour, and
Oh
like
yeah.
a comedian hosts it, and so they just like tell ghost stories and do jokes. It's
Oh,
pretty
that's cool.
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It was a blast. And this year, they're actually doing a thing where they're going. There's a 100-year-old building. They're going to do comedy in the basement at like 12 a.m. and they're going to set up some those like ghost readers and stuff like that. And they're going to be like doing like a ghost hunting thing while comedians are doing their jokes, which which if I get heckled by a ghost, either A, I should keep doing comedy, or B, I should just quit because like the comedy's like boo, which now as I say that out loud is the dumbest joke I've ever made. Um, but which is like ironic because like see look there it is. I'm
Yeah.
here for the booze, everybody. Um, which which as a comedian, this shirt hurts to wear because it's not talking about alcohol. I'm really here because you will boo me. So I'm okay. I'm okay.
Awesome. Yeah, my shirt's just
That's such a good
me.
shirt, though.
Yeah.
That's such a good shirt.
And then you can't see the Ninja Turtles, but it's like
Well,
they're
you don't
all.
need to see the Ninja Turtles when you see your gorgeous face. So
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, my friend like just described it so perfectly. He's like, let's mix Wu Tang with Ninja Turtles. Yeah, there we
yeah,
go.
yeah, no, that's it. That's it. Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah. And like the craziest thing, like William Montgomery from Kill Tony,
Hmm.
was actually on this bill, and I put his name on the shirt. And he had this sketch in Pueblo at the it was we were in a theater, and him and his buddies did a sketch called Mutt Plug, and it's butt plugs for dogs, and it's like
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
it's
Man, that's
oh,
wow. Yeah.
I really gotta show you the sketch. It's like the most hilarious thing ever, and the
Yeah. I'll have to
dog
check that
talking.
out for sure. Oh,
And I used to have sketch, but there's like no sketch groups in Daytona. We just
yeah.
have. I try to get a theater improv group to come, but it's like mostly stand up and like the musicians. 3 out of the 4 musicians and comics. So
Right.
I had King Hooker, Sam Ivy, and John Porter as the musical
Mm,
guests, and I'm
mm,
like they were so good,
yeah, for sure.
indeed. And Ryder Cole, shout out to him,
Okay.
and yeah, he's a pretty good guy, and so. you're an enigma too. Like whenever you never know what you're gonna say on stage. But you keep them laughing and having a good time, and that's why I love seeing you
But
do stand up. It's like
Captain John over here saying, "I'm glad you have shirts on, Captain. If you want, you know what, Captain."
it's Bert Kreischer. Look out!
There you go. There you go, Captain. This is all because you said something, Captain. This is your fault. So here we are. Here we are now, everybody. Now I don't have a shirt on. This is
Indeed.
weird. So you have pants on? We don't know. Maybe.
Well, you go for it, Patrick. I'm not going to take off anything. You got to pay for it. So.
Oh man, I'm really cold. I'm gonna put my shirt back on. It's cool. My nipples are real hard right now, and I have very small nipples, anyways. So I do this joke, and you've seen it before, Sareth, where my daughter talks with her nipples. She was 6 years old. She came in and started talking with her nipples. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm talking with my nipples." I was like, "Don't do that." And so I do the joke and I act it out and everything like that. And I had one. This is a true story. I had a lady come up to me after the show once, and she was like, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And she goes, "Can I see your nipples again?" I stopped. I went, "I'm sorry, what?" And she goes, "You just have the smallest nipples I've ever seen." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And your fault, John. Your fault, Captain. But she came up to me after the show, like I said, and then she goes, so I showed her my nipples, and then she goes, could I take a picture with? And I was like, no, ma'am, no, that is not draw the line. I'm not going to let you take a picture with my like. She didn't want to take a picture with me. Like that's how crazy that was. She didn't want to take a picture with me. She wanted to take a picture with my nipples. And that either A means that my nipples have succeeded at life, or B, that I'm not a very good comedian, and people are just like, let me see the nips, boy. And yeah, here they are. So weird.
It's like, honey, I shrunk the nips.
Yeah, exactly. I have baby nipples. So, it's weird. This isn't at all where I thought this conversation would go, but I'm glad it did.
You gotta let it out. I guess that's hilarious.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, man,
Is this the first time anyone's gotten naked on your podcast?
Yep.
Okay, good. I wanted to be your first, Sareth. So never forget your first.
After 100 episodes plus, it's like, oh man.
You never forget your first, so that I could be the first one to undress on your podcast. It means a lot. It means a lot. Thank you, Captain John, for that idea.
Indeed, yeah. Shout out to Captain John and his fancy Corvette and his Ted Nugent walk-up song of "Strangled Hold" and
I really want to go on an airboat with Captain John. And I want to get so Captain John, if you're still watching, take me out and wrestle gators. I really want to. Okay, that's it. That's all.
Indeed, that sounds like so much fun. He's our Crocodile Dundee of Florida.
Yeah, he's so cool. I love him. So great dude, very supportive, and of Madcaps, of me, of all of it. So well done, Captain John. Keep being you, brother.
Indeed. So. He came to the Nog during the fest, and he went from like the New Smyrna to the Palm Coast location to the Nog. I'm like 3 mics in one night. That's
he did that last week and then did it this week again. So I mean, he's at the trifecta. That's 2 weeks in a row. Like that's impressive. And those I'm very impressed. Like sometimes I get done with a mic and I'm like, I wish I hadn't done that one. So for him to do 3 in one night, that's well done, sir.
Indeed. Man, I used to do like Drunken Monkey, Shit Sandwich, and Sluice when it was all on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And oh man, I mean the one that Captain John does, that's more than that those 3 combined. So I'm like, oh man. But now that everything's in the Milk District with Drunken Monkey now and Shit Sandwich in Milk District, you can do all 3 without driving. It's nice.
Right. Yeah. No. I've done I hosted at Madcaps one night and then drove back for Milk District. But that was the night, and I was supposed to do Sluice that night too, but I ended up not doing that because I had food poisoning.
Oh.
And so I was like, I'll just do these 2 other shows. And oh my God, it was awful because I was so afraid I was going to crap myself on stage. And like my last name is Sisk, Sisk. And I knew that people would call me Patrick Shits for the rest of my life. And so I was like, I can't have that. Like
No.
that. So I was like, gotta hold it in. And I just remember driving home. I was like, oh, thank God I didn't do that. So
Awesome. Heck yeah. Captain John saying, I hear ya, I'm getting gorilla boobs. Whatever that means.
gorilla boo. Ugh. I feel like that's racist, Captain John. I'm not sure how, but I feel like it is. You're a white man saying that you can't say that. Not in this society. But he did say let's do it on the Gator stuff. So Captain John, I'll be hitting you up, dog. We'll make a day of it. So.
Absolutely. And he says, let's do it. I'm guessing he's referring to like, the motorboating.
Yeah. That's weird that you would say motorboating right after you said gorilla boobs. Wish you hadn't said that, Sareth, but too late. We're here. He said motorboating, and that's right, ladies and gentlemen. This podcast is brought to you by Motorboating Gorilla Boobs. Here, only on this podcast can you get that. Sareth, don't touch him, don't hug him. And Patrick, motorboating son of a bitch. Here we go.
Yep, and he says, got to get the work in. You damn right. Those mileages.
And Captain John is exactly right, because I think so many times, like we touched on it earlier, right? Some people think, oh, it's so easy just to get up there and just talk. But I promise you, just talking isn't going to be, like, you're not going to get the laughs. Like, you have to craft your stuff together. You have to know where the punchlines are. You've got to know where to say this, what voice inflection to use. And it goes in, like, you don't know that until you get on stage. So you've got to put the work in. You've got to hit up open mics. At the very least, you got to do showcases. If you're getting booked, then that's great. You can do material there, but like, at least go to an open mic every once in a while. Like, got to figure out your voice. Got to figure out what you're going to do, what you're going to say, how you're going to act. So yeah, no, I think that's spot on. So,
and and you got to know, like, your timing, like when to hit that extra punchline in, or like punch it up. And it's like, man, when I say and I was drenched, folks, like after I hear like that pause and like savoring in it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you some more. So it's like,
yeah,
indeed. So you guys see that, and I was drenched, folks, on a stage near you, so you can check it out live. Indeed. So for this episode, we're raising funds for One More Child and the special interest group about adoption. And so why did you pick that group to raise funds for?
So I am a child. I'm a foster care child. My parents brought me into their legal custody, so they didn't never officially adopt me, but they might as well have. So I am a kid with no parents, and but I had two amazing parents who really helped me be where I am today, and really helped me realize that that I could do anything that I wanted to, and really helped me realize like my potential. And I thank them, because without their support, I don't know where I would be. Without my parents, who, don't get me wrong, my parents didn't always agree with everything I did, and my mom still doesn't, but they are very supportive. They love me, and I think that there are so many kids in the foster care system out there right now who just need someone to love on them, and yeah, there's so much bad in this world right now, right? I was talking to two comedians recently, and I said, the reason I do what I do as a comedian is because I want to bring joy to people just for a little bit, that they can forget about all their bad things, forget about all the pain that's going on in this world, over here in our country, in the Middle East, just, in our lives personally, what's going on. And I get this chance to bring joy, but it's so hard because there's so much pain. And I think sometimes we forget about people, and we don't look at at kids who need love, and we look at these people who turn into what we call bad people, and it's because they weren't ever given a chance to be loved. Now, don't get me wrong, there are bad people in this world and there who have been loved and all that stuff, but we want to get angry and go, oh well, they should have done this, they should have done this better. They didn't have a father in the home, they didn't have a mother in the home, so that's why they're like this. Well, why didn't you step up? Why couldn't you have helped them do that? So we are a country that is truly blessed. We are. You can say, well, we've got a lot of bad things. If you're a Republican, you can say, well, we've got a terrible president. If you're a Democrat, you can say, well, we got a terrible. All the Republicans are terrible. You can say either way, but we are a truly blessed nation, and we need to be able to open our hearts to people who need that love, kids who need that love, because if we want the generations after us to be good, then we've got to raise generations to be good. It's clear that the same old crap that we've done for years isn't helping. It's clear that we're going down a worse path every day. But if we all took a chance and said, hey, let's come together, let's truly love on these kids, let's truly give them a place to live, and let's try to make this world a better place, then the world might be a little better. Not perfect, but better, right? And so I think, there's so many kids out there in the foster care system who could do anything, who could be the next president, who could be the next great comedian, who could be the doctor that cures cancer, whatever, but they're not given those opportunities. And so I think for me, I step back and I go, I was given that opportunity, and so I want to give that opportunity to other people, because those kids deserve that opportunity.
Indeed. And so if you can donate to one more child in the description box below, just click the link. It's on my 2 Facebook profiles and my YouTube channel. So donate away and help a kid out. So awesome. Anything that will help will do wonders. So
Absolutely.
Indeed. And so and then so there was Captain John. I didn't know that you can put comments on here and put them on display. So now that I know, it's like, oh, I can just click on this one. I'm just glad you have shirts on and stuff like that.
We proved him wrong. I'm
not going to put gorilla boobs on the screen though. So.
No, yeah, only you can. I was clicking on that one. I was like, come on, gorilla boobs. Apparently, I can't click on them. Only you can. Darn.
Okay, I'll do this just for you, Patrick.
Yeah, gorilla boobs. Yeah, Captain John, gorilla boobs.
Indeed. Awesome. Good stuff. So, Patrick, this is the set of questions that I ask all the comics. There's like, I have like Mike Hurley, Ken Miller, and everybody on this with these questions.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we talked about this earlier, but just to remind everyone at home that's just joined in, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
I think I've always wanted to do comedy. I wanted to do 2 things as I was growing up, and comedian was one of them. It's something I've always wanted to do. I love bringing joy and laughter to a room where there isn't, and I love the challenge. I view the world a little differently than some people, and so I love bringing laughter and joy to a room. And so if I can make you forget about your problems for a few minutes, then great.
Indeed, wonderful. And what was the feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
Wait, ask that one again.
What was the feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
Oh man! So when I first started all the years ago, it was very nerve-wracking, and I remember thinking, this is what I want to do, but I'm so scared, and it was interesting because and I used to tell this joke on stage. I don't tell it anymore. One of the last times I ever did stand-up, there was a lady in the audience, and this is a terrible story to tell, but I'm going to tell it anyways. There was a lady in the audience. I was making people laugh, and I noticed she wasn't laughing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some crowd work. And so I was like, man, why aren't you laughing? And she looked at me, and I can still see her face. And she said, I have stage 4 cancer. Oh, she said, I had chemotherapy today. I went, oh, and she said, and I want you to know that I laughed more at my chemotherapy and I haven't any of your set.
Wow.
And I went, oh. And like the first thing out of my mouth, like I couldn't even stop it. It was just one of those things where like my brain was like, say this. And I was like, okay. And I shouldn't have, but I looked at her. I was like, well, at least you don't have to come to my next set. And she started laughing at that. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I remember thinking how scared I was. But when I first started comedy, I remember just thinking like, man, this is what I want to do, but I don't know if I have the guts to do it. And so yeah, no, it's been a ride.
Indeed. Us. That's why we love doing stand-ups, just make everyone forget all their problems, no matter how big it is. Like stage 4, it's
Yeah.
like.
I mean, it's like the old saying that everybody quotes about Robin Williams. The saddest people in the world know what it's like to be sad, and they want to make sure other people are happy, or something to that extent. That's why we try to bring joy, because we've dealt with things, right? We know how it feels to get to the bottom, and we don't want other people to be there with us. So
Indeed, we'll be the light at the end of the tunnel for him.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yep. And whether it's like that 1 minute light or the spotlights, we're there for him. So yeah. And what are your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of Bert Kreischer. I think Bert Kreischer is hilarious. Just the way he's a storyteller, and everything. Tom Segura, I'm a big fan of his, and Daniel Tosh. I think Daniel Tosh was one of those first ones that I really latched onto in college, because he said whatever, and he wasn't afraid to say those things. And I was like, oh man, I remember as a kid watching some comedy with like my dad. Obviously, it's frowned upon, but like Bill Cosby was one of my dad's favorite comedians, and the jokes that he told were funny. They were very funny, and so that raises a question: can you separate an artist from the criminal? And we could talk for hours on that. Looking at you, R. Kelly, but yeah. So that those are all great ones. I'm not a huge fan of Carrot Top.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, screw you, Carrot Top. Sorry, I just had to bring that back up. I'm gonna find you, Carrot Top. I'm gonna find you someday. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I find you, but I'm gonna find you.
That's right. You tell him. Carrot Top. He shouldn't even be nominated.
Exactly. Thank you, Sareth. Thank you.
Yep. People that are actually in the streets here.
Yeah. You're in Vegas, Carrot Top. Stay in Vegas.
Get your props and get out of here.
Exactly. You Wendy's wishing douchebag. I didn't really think that through. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love Bert Kreischer too. I love the way he laughs. I love Something's Burning. I love everything that he does.
Yeah, I really like. I know some people didn't, but I liked Razzle Dazzle, the one he just came out with. I like a lot of those. With Daniel Tosh, Happy Thoughts was a great one. Robin Williams, just watching him, I'm a big fan of his. Just the way he could take one little thing and go off on a tangent and make it look so effortless. It's incredible. So,
indeed, I love it, and that's why I have this show called High and Dry Comedy Show, where I only bring it to festivals. Like I did it at Orlando Fringe, my festivals, and Orlando Comedy Festival.
Right. Yeah.
And so we just write down 2 topics each comic, and we have to make up a 5-minute set on the spot. And it's just when I was in Daytona, I had to talk about Republicans and sex toys. And then when I was in at the Orlando Comedy Festival, I had to talk about AI and little people. I don't want to say the M word because PC, But I had to. Those were my 2 topics. I'm like, you bastards, but it worked out. So,
man, Wow, yeah, those would be hard topics to come up with. So well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you. And Marcus Crespo, shout out to him. Like I got addicted to that style because like he did this one in Jacksonville at Nighthawks, and my two
Mm.
topics were cruise ships and bag raccoons, and it was just like this is rough, but I pulled that set out of nowhere. I gotta send you that set. It's just
Yeah, please do. Please do.
awesome. And so a couple of those guys have been on TV and film and stuff. And what are your favorite sitcom sketches and comedy films?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of Saturday Night Live. Or I was not so much anymore. They're kind of now. But like when Will Ferrell and like the golden years of Saturday Night Live, the golden age of Saturday Night Live. I loved Mad TV at that point too, where you had Stewart with "Oh, look what I can do. Um,
Yeah.
that was hilarious. Comedy movies. By far, my favorite movie is Tommy Boy,
Oh, I love it.
and I've been compared to Chris Farley before. I think it's because we're both fat. Like that was real. And they're like, "Oh, you're fat, and you take your shirt off, Chris Farley," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." Okay, thanks, mom. And but but no, it's Tommy Boy was. I remember just watching it as a kid, thinking this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, and even now watching it as an adult, I go, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Um, but then, if you want to look at a later movie, I'm a huge fan of Step Brothers uh, with Will Ferrell and John C. Riley together, just hilarious. And then one of my guilty pleasure favorite comedy movie that for some reason has never been canceled is Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Uh, and because Robert Downey Jr. does blackface in that movie, and yet nobody ever talks about how like he did that, but everybody's fine with it. It's just like and they use the R word multiple times in that. Like they do everything you're not supposed to. And I think that was like the whole point, right? Like they were like, we're gonna make an offensive movie about and everybody's gonna know that we're making fun of it.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's what I love about it, the boldness of it. But that movie made me laugh a lot. So yeah, those are some movies and sketches and stuff like that and shows I like. So
Absolutely. And sitcoms.
sitcoms, oh goodness. Trying to think. I growing up, it was always like Family Guy, or not Family Guy, Family Matters with Steve Urkel, and I remember thinking how funny that show was, and the slapstick comedy of this nerd who always was doing something wrong. I loved that growing up, and but I mean, I like Family Guy. I like those shows that I like those mind numbing shows that you can have on and you don't really have to be watching them. Like Rick and Morty, even where you just like it's on and you're not really paying attention, but then all of a sudden you pay attention to one thing and you're like, okay, anyways. So yeah, I enjoy those for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tommy Boy is like my sixth favorite film. Like if my horror movie background made me like pick the top five as my favorite. Those five are reserved for horror flicks,
Mm.
but Tommy Boy is like my favorite comedy of all
Yeah,
time.
it's so good. Like there's so many memorable like Tommy wants wingies, or the scene where they're driving in the car and the sad song comes on and they start crying and singing together, or when the deer wakes up in the back of the car and starts just tearing everything up. There's so many good like it because I think sometimes today in comedy movies you see those movies and there's like a few funny parts and you're like, oh, but like that movie is consistently funny from start to finish.
Hmm.
I mean, the line "brothers don't shake hands, brothers got a hug" is one that I still say to this day. Um, and so another movie that doesn't get enough credit is The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg as
Oh, okay.
police officers. And that movie is so good. If you've never seen it, go watch it. It's Jeff's kiss. So
Awesome. I'll have to watch that and revisit Tropic Thunder because it's been a while since.
yeah,
Yep. Indeed. And if you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Oh goodness. And there's a lot that I could say. Um,
Yep.
Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer would be an easy one to pick. Um, uh, Tom Segura, obviously those guys. Locally, and again, I could say so many. There's so many names that are on the tip of my tongue. But I would say Adam Lowry. Adam has been my comedy mentor, has helped me, has he and I have worked through jokes together. He and I have talked through life situations together. He's been there for me. I've been there for him. He's a guy that he and I just vibe together, and we love being around each other. And he's one of my best friends, and so I would definitely say Adam Lowry, and then yeah, I mean again, there's so many, so I don't want to like just start naming people because that tour would be forever long. But yeah, let's go with Adam Lowry.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of interviewing him when he ran Mellow Monkey in
Mm,
Stanford, and then because I talked about you know his startup in the comedy club business, and I got to interview him again like twice, as like just like this.
yeah.
And then the other one was like he was on my comedy special slash documentary, which is 9 hours long, by the way. So
Oh wow.
if you want to watch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I got some light watching I can do. Yeah, I got some open 9 hour time.
Indeed. But you can pick and choose what you want to watch instead of like watching it all at once.
Is
And
that
so,
on YouTube or?
yep, it's a secret link on YouTube, and it's also a pinned tweet, and it has like backstories on each one on Twitter.
Okay, I'll have to check. I'll definitely have to check that out. So
Yeah, there's like Easter eggs all over the internet. I just wanted to do something different. I didn't want to go viral, so
right,
it's like 3,000 views. I put it 3 years ago, so I'm like just let
yeah,
it run on itself. So
yeah, that's
yeah,
cool. That's very cool.
yeah. But yeah, some of Florida's finest are on that special. Like I interviewed, and I'm like, all right, this is pretty awesome. Turned out
Yeah,
better than I expected.
yeah, that's really cool.
For sure. Thank you, pal. And so, if you can get roasted by five comedians, top five dead or alive, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
Ooh, roasted by. Okay. Uh, I think I would go. Daniel Tosh would be in there. Um, I think. I think you got to go. I got to go Kevin Hart. Uh, I think he's really funny when it comes to roasting. Um, uh, I think. I think. Ooh. That's so tough. I think is a local name to throw out. Donald Evans. Donald Evans is so good at roasting. Um, he and I sometimes go back and forth, and normally it's just him making fun of me. But he is so good at it. So I would throw him out there. Um, I would say Robin Williams just because of no telling what he would say, and then I think to round it out, Tom Segura because he's just the deadpanness that he would deliver with would be incredible. So yeah, so those are mine.
Indeed. And Tom Segura is pretty awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
like him and Liquid Death got together, and did you see his new product that's out?
Uh.
It's his like you. It's a glory hole, but you put the Liquid Death cans in his mouth.
Ah, that's incredible. I love that. Good. Good.
Indeed. So yeah, shout out to them. Like they're helping out comics now,
Yeah.
and it's pretty awesome. Like they help me out. They're helping Tom Segura out. They're helping a lot of comics out now,
Yeah.
and
That's so cool.
that's their next chapter. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So get in touch with those folks if you need
Yeah.
them to help you out on your journey. So
Yeah. I definitely will. So,
good people. Yep, I still got a bunch of Liquid Death koozies from the festival that I still need to get rid of.
yeah,
So like,
I got one of them from you the night that I performed, and my daughter was like, "Dad, what is this?" I was like, "Don't worry about it, baby. Just don't worry about it." So,
indeed. They gave me trucker hats too, so I gave one to Roy because he wears a lot of
oh
them,
yeah,
and I gave one to Ross McCoy. And I'm giving one to Amy LaCours and one to my dad because he goes fishing a lot. So I'm like,
very
all right,
cool.
I know which hats to give to. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna give one to Eric Erlocker, but he always wears his Weedline hat. So I'm like, all right, yep.
Yeah, that's
So I
fair.
know which ones to hand out to who and all that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff. And so let's see here. If you, what do you see your comedy journey in the next 5 years?
Oh man. Um, you know, I would like to give you a humble answer and say, well, I'm just out here having fun. But it's so much more than that. It um, I I'm grinding every day, even when it doesn't seem like I am. I am. So in the next 5 years, I truly believe that I'll be touring. I think now to what extent I don't know, but I will be touring. I will, and not just in Florida. Because I have hit a lot of places in Florida, and as as things start to move forward with my career and my team, we look at it and we see a lot of potential to hit different markets, to hit different venues, and so I think in the next 5 years I'll be touring. Um, I'll be I'll be doing comedy clubs. I'll be doing maybe theaters. I don't know. I would love to. Um, you know what? I'm going to say yeah. In 5 years, I'll be doing a theater show, and
Um,
people go, man, I remember seeing him in Orlando, because I mean that's how who another one of my favorite comedians is Nate Bargatze. Um, Such a dry sense of humor, but like he started out real small and now he's selling out venues all over America, um, because every comedian gets their start somewhere, right? And so I truly believe in the next 5 years, big things are going to happen.
Absolutely. I love Nate. Like he has that cool, calm, collected, and
Yeah,
he's just like so chill on stage,
yeah.
so relaxing to watch. It's like,
He
oh, he's
is
so great.
he is 100% clean comedy, which and like takes it a step further than you, um,
Yeah,
with the no cussing, and it's just a clean comic, right? And he's still very funny. So I think yeah, he's super funny.
indeed, he's fantastic. The only way I can work clean is if I transform into Wu Manchu, or if I do high and dry comedy show. And
Right.
I got like 10 regular clean minutes, but those are the only three chances you'll ever see me do stand up without any, you know, sex stuff. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta like read the room, and like
Oh
you
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time you gotta read the room.
Right.
That's why I
Yeah.
watch.
That's such a tough thing, right? Is to know your audience,
Yeah,
because you can say the wrong thing, they can be with you the whole time. You say one thing and everybody,
indeed.
oh no, this is going to be awful. So yeah, no, I I commend you for being able to do what you do. So well done, sir.
Thank you, my guy. Right back at you.
Thank you, man.
Indeed. And touring's a lot of fun. That's like my next. That's in 4 months. I plan going on tour myself.
Oh
From
wow.
like Jacksonville to Austin, and then doing the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they love my material, but
Yeah.
I'll definitely read the room. And because like that's why I love watching every single comic go up, whether they're bad or good. Like
Hmm.
I know which comics, like which, if it's a clean room, I'll do clean jokes. If it's a dirty
Hmm.
room, I'll go all out. Like I'll just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hold on for dear life.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely.
yep, indeed. And like Jimmy Moynihan's like, Sreth, when you do a Melbourne, you got to start off clean, it's not Daytona, and then give them the dirty stuff. I'm like,
Right.
all right,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah. You gotta wine and dine them a little bit. You can't just pound them like Daytona people just love to be pounded. Wait, wait a second. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to stand by that statement. I'm going to
Absolutely,
say,
indeed, awesome. But yeah, I love going to Jacksonville, Orlando,
yeah,
Daytona. Like no matter what, it's like you just gotta know your audience.
yeah. And the funny thing with Orlando is, even and the other places are like this, but especially Orlando, is that each room is different, right? Because you'll get a very conservative room over here, and then literally right around the corner is somewhere else, and it's much more left leaning, and they don't find that some of the jokes is funny, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, how do we change this? And so that's what I love about comedy is, for me at least, I've always got to be thinking, okay, what am I going to do next? This worked, this didn't. Where do I go next? It's I tell people all the time it's a puzzle, and the weird thing though is this puzzle doesn't have just this piece just doesn't always fit here. This piece can sometimes fit up here, sometimes over here. It just you've got to figure out where that piece fits today.
Indeed, 100%. Well, if you want to be my tour mate, I'm setting up that tour in February. Like I was like, either I want to go on tour with either you, since you want to go on tour,
Yeah,
or Scott Hooker or Jimmy Moynihan. Those are like my three. Like,
man, I would love that. Yeah, hit me up, man. We'll definitely talk off air, and we
absolutely.
can talk about what that would look like. So I'd be all for it. So
Heck yeah. And speaking of like you and our love for Tommy Boy, like it'd be like a fun, like hopefully we won't pick up any deer in the
yeah,
back. So
I would. Yeah, we would. Oh man, I don't. Have you ever been around wildlife like that?
well, I was born and raised in Colorado, but
Okay,
is
yeah. So
so
I mean, but I just imagine you not know, like when I was in high school, I thought it would be really funny, and now I've seen it everywhere. But I once tied a get well soon balloon to a dead raccoon. I thought it was funny. And now I see those pictures online. And I was like, I was doing that before the internet was a big thing. I'm not that old, so never mind. Like the internet was still a big thing when I was in high school. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, like that's the kind. I like wildlife, but I'm not picking one up and putting it in my car. I don't, that would oh my god, that would be scary. So
same here. I'm like I'm getting called to the National Wildlife
yeah,
Services and
yeah,
like
petting
them.
zoos
So
freak me out enough because they just start coming up to you, start like licking you and stuff, and I'm like, no, no, I don't even really like my children when they come. So like I'm like, guys, get away from me. And they're like, Daddy, and I'm like, leave me alone. So
good stuff. And so, if you can, which other forms of comedy would you venture off into, like improv, sketch, comedy writing, acting, directing, etc.?
um I mean, I would do. I mean, I think I already do some improv a little bit with crowd work, right? Because I think crowd work is improv to an extent. But in the grand scheme of what actually improv is, I mean, maybe, but I would absolutely love to do acting, um, and and then writing as well. I would love to do those things. As far as far as like prop comedy, I'll never do prop comedy. Uh, I'm not going to say why, but I think we all know why.
We all know. Yep.
Carrot Top.
Yeah. Damn you, Carrot Top.
If nobody gets anything else from this session, I just want them to know that I don't like Carrot Top.
Indeed.
That is my that is my that is my comedy beef is with Carrot Top. He doesn't know we have beef. He doesn't even know me, but he will.
Yep. Beef, and he's probably a vegetarian or a vegan because his
Yeah,
name's Carrot. You know.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a ginger, so
Yep. If you got beef, then bring the ruckus.
exactly, exactly.
Oh man, good stuff. And so, what's your favorite joke a comic has written?
Oof. Um, any comic.
Yep.
Hmm. Um, there's a joke by um. I'm trying to decide which one I want to tell or say. Okay, Bert Kreischer does one that I think is hilarious, where he talks about his school or his daughter doing a dance, and the teacher was like, "I am so sorry. Uh, I assumed your kids' genders, and I paired them up with boy girl, and I'm so incredibly sorry." And she's talking to all the parents, and the teacher's apologizing to each parent, and parents are coming in saying, "Well, you should have thought this through more, and we're very disappointed." And then it gets to Bert, and he goes, "I don't care who she dances with as long as they're not black."
Oh man.
And he said that everybody just all of a sudden like, and his wife was like, "He's a comedian. He's a comedian. I'm so sorry. He's a comedian." And just like, I think I laughed so hard at that because I could see myself doing that, and my wife freaking out and being like, "No, no, he was just kidding. He was just kidding." because that humor where you just catch people off guard uh,
Yeah.
is some of my favorite, and that's one reason I like Donald Evans as much as his comedy as much as I do, is because his stuff is so, it's going one way and then all of a sudden it takes a left turn and you're like, I didn't I didn't see that. So yeah, so
He's so brilliant. I love Donald. He's
yeah,
awesome. One of the best.
for sure.
Indeed. And so let's see here. What experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
I think for me it's just uh, that little bit of joy that that they take with them, that no matter how crappy life is and how sucky the situations there are, because I don't know the situations people are going through at their home. I don't know if you're struggling with your spouse, if you just lost your job, if whatever it is. If I can bring a little bit of joy, then you take that joy home with you. And when when life is just awful and you're like, man, this is terrible, you remember a joke of mine, or you remember me doing something funny, and it makes you smile a little bit. That's what I want to bring, what people to bring with them, that there was a point through all this that they laughed, and that they will laugh again, and that I, to whatever small extent I can, I will help them do that.
Indeed. That's awesome. That's what we do it for. It's just
Yeah,
like, yeah, good stuff. Well, the good ones, anyways.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Indeed, absolutely. And so, Patrick, this next part is Act Three, and so, and the stand-up speakeasy is like the secret society of stand-up comics, and so you have to be nominated to, to
Okay,
bring in
yeah,
here. And so, with that being said, which five comics would you like to see on a future episode of the stand-up speakeasy?
okay. Well, first I got to go with Adam Lowry, even though you said you've already had him. But
Um, I'll have him on again because we're supposed to talk about Madcap's Palm Coast. So, yeah.
okay, yeah. So Adam Lowry. Then I would go with Helmet Wysick. Helmet helped me get my start. Adam Snare is one that I really like. I truly believe that he is one of the most underrated hosts in Orlando. Like if you haven't seen him host, he's one of the best hosts. And people question all the time. They're like, "How do you get booked on so many things?" He gets booked on so many things because he's such a good host. Like he knows how to handle the tough situations as a host. And so Adam Snare. Who else? Have you talked to Donald Evans?
I don't think so, not
Okay,
yet.
I'm gonna throw Donald Evans because I know he hates to talk to people, and so this will be funny. Um, because again, I think he's great, but I wanna make him do something he doesn't want to do. Um, and then my final one, who would be Amir Schumann. Amir Schumann was just on. Oh yeah, can I do six?
Yeah.
Okay. Amir Schumann was just on my weekend at Madcap. Newer guy, funny. And then Kyle Eastburn. Kyle Eastburn is another guy who started out with me, who has really grown tremendously, and he's really starting to get his footing. And he's got some really funny jokes. And so Kyle Eastburn is another one. So shout out to Kyle Eastburn. But the white trash prince, as he calls himself. But yeah, any of those guys would be, I think, great. Especially Donald, because he hates talking to people. And here's one that you shouldn't interview: Carrot Top.
Yep. We will not interview Carrot Top.
Good.
No, I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna interview famous. I'm probably never gonna interview famous people like on this because
Right.
because social media numbers mean everything, and I'm like, good luck. Like, my numbers are horrible,
Hey,
and
it's all good, brother. It's all good.
yeah, indeed. And I'm like, maybe I don't want to get those bots. I don't want any of the fake stuff. Like you
Right.
said,
For sure.
all organic is the way to go. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'll surely get it there. But I'm like, I'm happy with my 660 something,
Yeah.
650 something subscribers.
Right.
It's good.
Absolutely.
Awesome, pal. Well, thank you so much, Patrick, for being my guest.
Yeah.
Are there any Any shows you want to plug in before we?
Again, I'm in Alabama this week, this Sunday, at the Alabama Music Box. I've got Florida's Funniest Comedian coming out October 25th. Again, so many good comedians on there. Come support me. Come support all the comedians. You can get free tickets if you go online and use code FFC. I think is it Florida's Funniest Comedian FFC. You can get free tickets. And then support anything that Madcap's comedy clubs are doing. We didn't really touch on this, but I am the booker at Madcaps, and officially since about 2-3 weeks ago now, and so we're putting out some amazing shows, and we're whether I'm on them or not, we're putting out some of the best shows that have been out there, and we're really trying to make it a destination for comics. And as dumb as it sounds, I would just say support any live comedy that you see, whether it's in Daytona, whether it's in Orlando, whether it's in Sanford, whether it's in Poinciana, wherever it is. Support live comedy, because I mean it's tough sometimes, and you know this, Sareth, better than non-comics, is that sometimes doing. We'll do comedy shows for anybody, but it's a lot better when it's a room full of people that want to be there. Those surprise comedy shows that you do in a Buffalo Wild Wings, and there's like 4 people there, and they all want to just watch the football game, and they wish you would shut the hell up. You're just like, oh man, this is awful. But so go support live comedy wherever it is, and it might not be good, but support them anyways. So. Because they're not going to get good if they don't have your support.
Absolutely. And congratulations on the new gig. And I told you in person at the fest, and and shout out to Adam for opening a Palm Coast location, because man, I'm driving down to New Smyrna all the time and hitting the Nog after. I'm like, I can finally hit Palm Coast and then the Nog. Now it's like
it's a good room too. It's intimate. It's I have the interesting thing about that, and I can say this now that I've headlined. There has not been one headliner who is absolutely crushed. It's a tough room. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's a bad room, but it's tough. Like, to get them the whole time. So I challenge any headlining comedian out there or anything like that to be able to go in there and just destroy the room. It's tough. I had some really good shows. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's a room that you got to work. You'll get off the stage and you're a little sweaty. So,
indeed. And I love that room. Like, I've been there a couple times to see like some of my comic buddies in the green room, and I'm glad I was able to do it, and the staff was kind and everything for letting me do that. And
for sure.
And like and the way it's set up, it's so perfect. Like, it's Marcus Crespo calls it, like, a lot of these comedy clubs are doing it now because it's like the kill rooms, and there's not a single bad seat in the house. Like, you get the perfect view of the comic. It's
absolutely
awesome.
Absolutely, for sure.
Indeed. And so, are there any final words you'd like to give out to the audience at home?
Just for all those who have either been watching on this, will watch, or who have supported me at all, thank you so much. I have never felt more like I was supposed to do something in my life than when I step on stage to do comedy. From whether it's you've been in the audience, whether you booked me on a show, or whether you bought a T-shirt of mine or whatever, thank you just for your support, for your continued support, because without you guys, I'm just some fat guy trying to be funny. So I truly appreciate anyone who supported me along this journey.
100%. And continue to support Patrick. All his social media info, and he's raising funds for himself, his favorite nonprofit, and charities in there as well. And just click and follow. I made it easy. Just click the links, and just just support every single thing that's down there. So awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick, for being my guest today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Anytime we like I said, we got to talk off off the show soon, and we'll talk about what that might look like. Me and you hitting the road together and doing some weird stuff.
Indeed, I have a Honda Accord that can do like 700 on a full tank of 700 miles.
Nice.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
nice.
if we went on tour together, would I have to hug you?
No, we can
Okay,
right. We'll just keep
Yeah, like a plastic barrier between us.
Absolutely. I don't want your clothes to be pregnant, so it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, I can't afford that right now. I'm just
no
not,
worries.
not on my salary. So
And Maury's off the air and everything, so
exactly. Well, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do for the comedy community, and keep being you, brother.
right back at you, Patrick. And it's a joy and a pleasure to help anyone out with stand up along their journey because it's a rough road, and
For
any
sure.
little help helps out a lot. So.
For sure.
Absolutely. Awesome, Patrick. Thank you so much for being my guest. And we can talk a little bit off air about the rest of the stuff. And so you can't see that at home. So
Yeah, sorry, guys.
thanks for tuning in. And thanks to Captain John White for